I would say it's the year of real sensuality. And that's a feeling that you'll find it starts in the body and then it goes through the mind and then it blows past that, right out the doors. You're going to think you're having a spiritual experience, and it's not. Well, it is, but it's not just a spiritual experience. It is a sensual experience that it's been so long, so much boredom, so much limitation, so much gray, and now you blow through that. You do it by allowing. You do it by allowing and letting that experience roll in. It's indescribable, but we're not just going to talk about the concept, we're going to do it. 2 parts here. The first part, this is going to be kind of like a Merab, will be a Merab. 2 parts. In the first part, it's going to be about the hypnosis that you've lived within. The hypnosis that mostly comes from mass consciousness, that has what hypnotized you into this mental, local, linear reality. It's not bad. It wasn't some sinister plot from Donald Trump or Hillary. Maybe they teamed up together. No. It's not a sinister plot. It just occurred. And I call it hypnosis. It wasn't like somebody sat in front of you with a watch doing this. It's just, hypnotized means mental programming, mental kind of just letting it happen. Now, I'm not going to hypnotize you or unhypnotize you, either one. You're going to unhypnotize yourself. You're just going to unhypnotize yourself. If you don't want to, that's fine. If you're afraid of being unhypnotized, don't do it, or come back to it later. But basically, we're just going to literally, very literally, wipe away all of those overlays that have kept you mental, local, linear. We're going to wipe them away. Now, it doesn't mean they all go away at once. It may dissolve away over a period of time. It doesn't matter. But it's about unhypnotizing yourself. That's part 1. And we'll take a short break. Stop the music, do some breathing, and then we're going to come back into sensuality. Now, if you're not willing to do part 1, or if you're only willing to do a little bit of letting go of hypnosis, you're not going to be able to do part 2. So just enjoy the music, enjoy the soothing sound of my voice, and have fun. But otherwise, let's get back to sensuality. Let's be transsensual human beings. Meaning, you're still in your human senses, but now we transcend that into real sensuality. So lights down, a little music up. I'll have a bit of cookie. Let's take a good deep breath. Get relaxed, get comfortable. This whole journey into the mind has been fascinating. Really putting yourself into a very foreign, unfamiliar environment. Isolating yourself in such a way that you forget the sensual nature of you. I kind of use the word sensual and creative or creator. I use them interchangeable. It's all the same. But along the way, there was so much, let's call it programming, but words from parents and teachers, words from leaders that brought you into this very mental state. And also with a desire to be more and more mental, to acquire more mind, to acquire more mental intelligence. Some of the very programming that you have came from you, a past life. Some of you were philosophers, teachers, preachers, writers, speakers, some of the very words that you still hold on to about how life should be, about being a better human, about being a smarter human. Some of those very words that have programmed you came from you. Came from what you would call a past or even a future life, self. There's these layers and layers and layers of hypnosis. Hypnosis is, well, what is accepted by the mind that really aren't necessarily yours. They're weavings of a fabric that eventually entombs itself. Weavings of beliefs, judgments, of what's right or wrong, of what's doable or not doable. I'll give you an example. Magic is very real. I'm not talking about stage magic, but I'm talking about the magic of life, the magic, the ability to transcend dimensions, magic, as in things just appearing. It is so real. It is so the basic nature of reality. What's happened to magic in this, what you call modern world, the mental world, it's been squeezed right out. If you can't define it in scientific mathematical terms, then it doesn't exist. Well, it exists. It's still here, but it's out of awareness, outside of awareness. That's what happens with these weavings of hypnosis, creating a tapestry that eventually entombs or encases one under their own limitations. There are millions of overlays, hypnotic overlays, that have come from others, not in a sinister way. They're just out there floating around. Overlays that have come from yourself. I call them hypnosis because hypnosis is a suggestion or a command implanted into the mind and accepted by the mind. The mind that is generally so judgmental of yourself, your mind's so judgmental. It judges not all the hypnotic thoughts that are coming through every day from the news, from advertising, from other people, from, well, just in the air, in consciousness, in mass consciousness. And it causes the mind then to go into this whole spin about what's truth and what's not, what's right or what's not. Am I being authentic? Am I being truthful? That's a battle within the mind. It is truly battling at windmills. A battle that you can never ever win. But with real sensuality, the ability to sense and feel beyond the limitations of the mind, the ability to comprehend, to be aware of other realities that exist right here. Magic is right here. That will absolutely put an end to all the discussions about authenticity. About, am I being real? Am I being truthful? Is this right or this wrong? All of those things become so incidental. With sensuality, there's no judgment. Was it not about a good sensual experience or a bad one? Never a judgment of it. Was it a big one or a little one? It is returning to your true nature as a creative creator. You work with 5 human senses and a mind. There are well over 200,000 other ways of sensing. It's not that we're going to try to uncover all or discover all 200,000, but this is your nature as a sensory being. And now, as the human sitting here, you, in whatever way that is appropriate, you can release all the hypnotic overlays. You can untie all of the tapestries that have been woven into a mental encasement, however you want to do it, however you want to release those hypnotic overlays. It's up to you. Just do it whenever you're ready. It's the act of consciousness. Choosing to let go of the hypnosis. So take a deep breath. And allow yourself to do it. But it's you releasing yourself from the limitations of mental. Take a good deep breath. Take a good deep breath. Good deep breath. Let's just sit here in this sensual moment. The master doesn't question whether they did this right. The master doesn't question whether it's going to work or not. The master knows they indeed released all of these hypnotic overlays. And then the master just goes about enjoying the moment. You don't go back and revisit. You don't wonder if you did it right or wrong. The master simply knows that they let go of all these hypnotic overlays. Doesn't matter how it got there, how sticky it was, how deep it went. The master has a big smile on their face and said, on this day I released all of these mental implants so that I may now walk in my sensuality. So we take a deep breath and do exactly that. We bring the music back up. We take a good deep breath. And now it's about allowing back into the sensual nature. And it's nothing you can try to create, it's because it's already there. It's nothing that you should effort at, not at all. Effort will simply, just make it have more friction. So you take a deep breath, and now this is the time of allowing. Allowing the transsensual human means you're still going to have your human senses. You're still going to perceive reality or parts of reality through those senses. But now we go beyond that. There are so many other senses, ways of perceiving, feeling, and experiencing reality. Yes, indeed, the human was very bored, very, very bored. The human was trying to make, well, it was trying to make that better cage in the zoo. Trying to entertain itself. All this time, you knew that there was so much more. Maybe you didn't know how to define it, but you knew it was there. Sensuality, the ability to perceive beyond the eyes and the ears and the mind. Ability to feel at a level that you haven't felt at for a long time, level of feeling that's not emotional, but yet it's grand and colorful. A feeling that is not in patterns, limited patterns. Hearing is your sense of hearing, that's all in patterns, but there's so much more beyond that. Sometimes the mind would call it chaos because it doesn't understand, but real senses, your I am senses, doesn't consider it chaos. It doesn't have to be patterned. It doesn't have to fit into a nice little package. This is where you just take a deep breath and without having to work at anything, it's about allowing yourself to be sensual once again. You feel it in your body, of course, and it'll touch your mind, but then it goes so far beyond. There are many, many other realities, dimensions out there. And remember what I said a little while back. I said that the other dimensions are your other senses. There's not a 6th, 7th, 8th level dimension that humans, some of them talk about, where really if you look at it, there's just about being a grander human. They don't exist. That's a construct of the mind. That's a cheap desire of the mind. Let's have a 7th and 8th dimension, and we can predict the future, and we can see through people's clothing, and that's not what dimensions are. Dimensions are other senses. Other ways of perceiving and feeling the vastness of reality. When we first talked about embodied enlightenment, in other words, staying in your body, having realization of your enlightenment. I want you to think back when you first started talking about that embodied enlightenment. Oh, you thought, I don't have to have a job. Oh, embodied enlightenment. Oh, I'm going to be so smart, and everybody will come to me for their answers. Everybody will come to me with their problems. Oh, embodied enlightenment. I'll never get old. How about a redefinition of embodied enlightenment? The ability to sense at many, many different levels, to be transsensual, Never again limited, never again just in the underbelly of creation. Real feeling, real awareness. Remember what I said before? If I was in human shoes, I was asked what my desires would be for this year. It'd be, yes, I'd like to be keen of mind, no doubt. But a mind that doesn't judge, a mind that doesn't limit, and a mind that doesn't control. But I would also like to open my senses, to feel in a way, to feel life in a way, with the color, the vibrancy, the depth that has been lacking for so long. To feel in an expansive way. Again, feeling, I'm not talking about emotion. Emotions are the mind's false way of feeling, but real awareness. That's the transhuman, that's transsensual. And that's exactly what you're allowing right now. And this is the time to take that moment to connect back to your true nature. The true nature of being the creator, the creative, being sensual. Above all, being sensual. So when you first said, yes, that's what I want, that embodied enlightenment, staying in the physical, allowing enlightenment, wasn't about being younger or richer or whatever it happened to be, the wisest being on earth, none of that. What you were really saying was, I want to bring back the senses. So let's take a good deep breath with that. What a way to start the year. You see, then all the other things, judgments about what's right or what's wrong, about are you being authentic and truthful, are you being spiritual enough, are you a good enough person, all those go out the window. They're laughable. They're unimportant. And all this stuff about you want to be younger, you know, when you're really living sensually, it has an effect. It will have an effect on that physical body of yours. And when you're really living sensually, when you're allowing your sensuality, it will have an amazing impact on the keenness of the mind. And the whole ego of the mind thing, the whole identity of the mind will become so unimportant even to the mind. It will stop its obsessive nature about itself. And all the goings on about this planet, all the things that it's going to be going through this year, all the changes and commotions and power plays and everything else, suddenly you're going to seem so puny, so unimportant. The sensuality comes forth and suddenly you realize, in kind of an odd way of saying, you suddenly realize that this whole thing about realization, has already been there. You realize your realization. Kind of sounds strange, but go, oh my God. Everything I've been trying to realize is already here. So with that, you take a good deep breath. You don't work at it. You just allow it. You allow yourself to be that transcendental human, transcendental being that you've always been. And you take a good deep breath, and with a big smile on your face, you say, all is well in all of creation. And so it is. Thank you, my dear friends. Until next month, be sensual. Thank you. Thank you.